Hello! Been a while. So, over on Twitch, I've been streaming my art from time to time. Recently, I've been learning to use a dip pen, and I wanted to share the first 5 streams while explaining my learning process. The goal of the stream is to teach by learning and share my learning process of a new, for me, tool. Most of my professional time as an artist focuses on using digital tools, and I've been yearning to make more physical art. So let's dive in to dip pens. In my introductory stream of this process, I'm working on just learning the right feel and weight of using a dip pen. I'm holding the pen wrong at several points. I'm using old nibs I had bought and briefly used in 2015 through early 2016. But ultimately, I have never had any training with these pens, and I think it shows as I attempt to learn line weights and ink some of my sketches of a character from my upcoming comic, Klepto Clockers. I spill my ink several times and try to spread it only to lose more ink onto the page. In addition, I smear ink on my hand a few times, generally making a mess of myself. Normally, with inking, I would use microns, and you see me finish up the stream by breaking them out to compare line weight and balance. My second stream starts with a return of the character and texture page, but the stream quickly is focused on trying some inking of a background. In this work, I begin to build on the language of how I will depict textures, shading, and details with these different nibs using a single rich black ink. You will see me experiment, fail, and try again. I still haven't learned not to attempt to spread the ink, and it results with a load of ink being used on these trees. I do learn a bit more of how to consistently make strokes that result in certain line weights, using the pressure I apply to the page. Unwittingly, I end up using several calligraphy nibs during this session. I like the feel of them, but later research leads to my certainty that these are calligraphy nibs. But you can see with my doodle of the interrobang in question mark that I do have an inkling at this point what these nibs are for. I really dislike the way I work the water and probably should have some grayscale reference next time I attempt a lake scene. But overall, I learn a lot. Between these two streams, I research a few videos and get an idea of how to better take care of my nibs. Between these two streams, I research a few videos and get an idea of how to better take care of my nibs, when I should use each nib, and start to bring that knowledge to future streams. Before the stream, I've created a reference page of my current nibs, and will reference them throughout the stream. Here, in celebration of the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, I work on some fan art of my favorite Pokemon line, Zubat, Golbat, and Crobat, and my favorite Pokemon line of my childhood, Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard. I'm still making plenty of mistakes working with these pens, but I am finding my favorite nibs, and eventually I go back and revisit some of my landscape sketch while ink dries. By this stream, I've found my two favorite nibs to use for drawing. I've gotten rid of some of my rusted nibs and looked to testing my skills while doing better at working from right to left to avoid smearing and wait times. Here I start working on an eastern red box turtle, an indigo bunting, and an otter. I start with the foliage of the turtle photo and work across the page, eventually focusing on the turtle and carefully filling out the foreground grasses. As I move to the indigo bunting bird, I do a worse job at working from right to left, but mostly succeed at avoiding smudges. I do end up having a bit of ink spill from the nib. But this happy accident allows me to create some modifications to the image and portray the bird as though it was spreading its wings. Filling out the leaves improves the balance of detail throughout the page. One of the changes to my process between the turtle and the bird is the fact that I am switching between nibs throughout drawing. With the final drawing, an otter, I only used the larger nib. I worry here about the water given my last water test results, but ultimately I like how these sketches turned out. My second animal sketch stream focuses on a set of bison and a hawk. I was frustrated during the stream from a tough workday, and I think it shows with some of my haste, especially with the results of the bison. I feel like my proportions for the bisons from my sketches should have been worked a bit more, and my initial decisions of how to depict the snow didn't work the way I'd hoped. Ultimately, I rush through the picture to focus on the bark and hawk feather textures. When I start the hawk drawing, I start to enjoy the flow of the drawing up until I smear the beak and get back into my own head. Practicing art is always a journey. In my experience, it's important to work through the mistakes and learn from them, even if the final piece isn't exactly what you'd hoped for. One of my university art professors taught me done is better than perfect when it comes to being a professional artist. Reaching the end of the compilation, I'll invite you to come find me over on twitch.tv/theendhero. I'll be continuing to stream art with relaxing music, and I'm happy to hold a conversation while I'm working. I'll be continuing to try working on mediums I have minimal experience with, like watercolor and pastels, in addition to my inking. Hope to see you over there, or on my next video. By release, I should be nearing completion of a Delete This Animatic video I left unfinished for over 2 years, as well as my first video essay. Hope to see you soon.